Greetings, everybody out there in Guitar Land, especially you, Daniel, who has the keen eye to point out I don't necessarily have brand literacy, but has only proven the point that I am completely functionally literate. Notwithstanding, I really don't, and I'm going to set aside this one little thing for a second. I couldn't give two shits if somebody decides to spell their brand name wrong. It's okay with me. I'm still going to call it Squire because it's a Squire. Everybody knows that it's a Squire. As far as like the word Squire is concerned, that's all I'm caring about. And that would be illustrated here. Now, to go on with the story, here is a neat little thing. This is just a piece of 1/4-inch steel, drilled 10 times over with a 1/4-inch drill bit, what I was talking about just the other day. So here we have some Fimo, purchased at Hobby Lobby. It is a nice tan color. The tan color, these are the two ingredients that we're going to need here to do this specific thing. Actually, we're going to need another one. That's an oven at about 275 degrees. So this Fimo, there you go, Daniel. How do you like that spelling? Fimo. This stuff and this stuff, which looks like poop, is going to be combined, but it's not, is going to be combined to try to get a color a little bit closer approximating this. This is a nice latte kind of color also. Sorry. And I hope everybody understands that I am proud of my pettiness. I enjoy it, and I think you should too. Not just my pettiness, but be petty. More people should be. People who hold back, nah, not even a thing to me. So, let's see here. We're going to grab a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, and a little bit of this, and we're going to combine it all to try to make it work. Now, unfortunately, what is kind of required here is to hold it in your hands. I mean, you've played with clay when you were a kid, and all this stuff is clay. It just happens to be clay that you can bake, and it'll harden into a, well, in our case, it's going to be some dot inlay. But you have to warm it up first, and you have to work it. So my suggestion is we do that. I'll be back once it's a little looser than this. And for stuff like this, you might want to take off your valuables, even if it is made of copper. Don't want to get any stuck in there. Alright, so that's close. We got the nice fleshy tone stuff kind of lubricated up. The next one will be a little tiny bit of this brown, just to kind of give it a little age. I'm going to combine the two. So you see we've got poop on the finger, on the very, very ghastly white finger. It's not white though. This is it's kind of a brighter flesh tone. So all we got to do now is mix that up and combine it. Now it's going to want to make swirly stuff, so that's all right. That's how it starts. And then you just kind of smash it all together and, you know, get the pigments to kind of work through. The thing about this is you don't need too terribly much, but you do need enough, and this little amount is not going to do it. So you see how it's kind of coming through there? Now, there's no specific formula, as far as I know, to get a specific color. As far as I know. I've never looked it up. I have, on the other hand, taken great time. Not really. Taken a lot of time and gone through these and come up with what I think is reasonable. See there? That's the color I'm going for. And it's a little less yellow than this. That is like a nice aged Strats from the 50s clay dot. So they have a, they started out, I'm sure they started out a kind of a tan. But as age happens to us all, they kind of turned a little more brown. You see these streaks here? Maybe not. You see, yeah, there you go. You see that swirl? Looks kind of like a desert. That's really neat and all, but that's not what we're going for, so we got to keep mixing it. And, you know, pinch, twist, do your thing. This is really good for your arthritis if you happen to have any. It's also good in taking out frustrations at people, Daniel. No, seriously though, I'm just fucking with you. I could literally give two shits about what the spelling of Squire was, and that's no joke. Um, although it does appear that I've given at least one shit today about that, as I've already demonstrated. But no, no. As the lady says on the plane, that motherfucker isn't real. No, no, I couldn't give two fucks. That's that. And I'm not going to give one either. So here we go. That is about as mixed up as I want it. There's a couple of little swirls here and there, but mostly not. And that is exactly where light would be a real good thing here. That is exactly... Boy, that's very white in the picture. But it's a nice tan. There we go. There we go. That's it. That's it. So, color of my hand, color of that. This is perfect for that. Now, like I said, I don't think that's enough, but it's nice and pliable right now. And we're going to go ahead and start squeezing these pieces here. Now, before I do that, I kind of tend to flatten it out a bit first, and I just kind of add it in layers. So, into the hole we go. See what it's doing right there? So good. Into the hole we go. And that's pretty okay right there like that. Just kind of squish it in, make it as tight as possible. Because all we're going to do once this bakes is we're going to scrape off both ends. Okay, that's 1, 2. See how easy that is? That's a little undersized. But these are going to be a 1/4 inch tall. Now, we're not going to add them in when they're a 1/4 inch tall. Squish it down. Just like that. Happy little trees. Happy little chivalric knights wannabes. There we go. And continue on. So, do you remember what I said we need to get the oven to? I'll bet you do. Let's see, we're almost there. Like I said, leave a little over. We're going to scrape that off. It'll be fine. It'll be good. You'll be happy. It'll make you want to be a better person. There we go. That's probably a little too much there. Squeeze back, and I'm squeezing on both sides. So you see it's going very nicely there. Now, when we put these in, put the fret dots into the guitar itself, what's going to wind up happening is there's going to be overage. And the overage we're going to want to take out. How you do that is up to you. But for me, when I cut these in half, it minimizes the overage. After that, I go through with some sandpaper and I sand it down. If it's more than just a little proud, in other words, more than just a little tiny bit up, like that here, what I'll wind up doing is taking a chisel to it first. Oh, what do you know? That was plenty. Oh. Okay, so let's take off that overage. Once again, brandishing a nice little Kershaw knife. Inexpensive, does the job. That needs a little extra filling. Squeeze them in there. Press them down. Both sides. And then remove. Now this should be a one-off. I don't want to do any more than I have to. There's still a little hair left over, I'm going to call it that, from the drilling process. I did not sand this whole thing down. There we go. And the material is slightly porous, so some of this stuff is going to stick around. like that, like that. And in a minute or two, I'm going to have to take out the doggy. That is that. Take the excess, set it aside. Take your extra, set it aside. Wrap up your nice clay balls. But yeah, made a lot of inlay out of all this stuff. Let me show you. Although I think I have before, so I'll be brief. I actually find it quite joyous to make inlay. Even if the stuff you put it in doesn't want to cooperate, come out. Yeah, sure don't. There we go. I just had to pinch it right. All right, see those? Those are all dot inlays. Of course, they are, with the exception of this guy, because that's just kind of what I used to do with my leftovers. I had intended at some point, those are 6 millimeter. So I intended at one point to just have a single large dot on the 12th fret, but I thought it didn't look aesthetically pleasing. So I still put one in there as just kind of like a color, option. It's like, there's a dot. But I also made these little guys. These are 3 millimeter side dots. And no, you don't use the whole thing. You cut them in half and stick it in there and then take off the overage. Works great. And I've used that in almost every single build I've made since 2017, I want to say. Maybe it was 2018. Either way. Now, don't get me wrong. Traditional side dots, like mother of pearl and plastic, or, fret dots like mother of pearl and plastic, are just fine. As far as I'm concerned, though, these are about as traditional as you get, with the exception of abalone. Because Fender and their offshoots have been using clay dots, or at least Fender had been using clay dots since the 50s. So it's pretty traditional in my book. Fendre. Take that, Daniel. So what do we have left to do? So we've got this all set and ready to go. I'm going to heat up the oven. I'm going to pop that in for about 30 minutes. And at that point, they should be good to go. Should is a very good word for this, because sometimes I've seen it take 35 minutes. I've seen it take 40 minutes. But again, curing temperature is different with a lot of these. Sculpey, and this is part Sculpey, I think. Sculpey likes, I don't know, I think it's 225 degrees. This likes 275. So, the curing times may vary a little bit. But take them out, let them cool. And, you can overcook them. That's something that I should talk about. If you undercook them, they're still going to be a little pliable, and it's not what you want on a fretboard surface. If you overcook them, they're going to be much harder to work with because they'll be flaky, or they'll be, kind of ashen powdery. When you go to cut them in half, they're going to just kind of crumble, and that'll leave you with very little to work with. So you have to be kind of careful. I wouldn't cook them for more than 40 minutes. And at the temperature of 275, I seriously think that, checking them at a half an hour, maybe 35 minutes tops will do you fine. But, read the instructions, do what they say, take your altitude into consideration, and, have yourself a great time with it. I'm going to go pop these in the oven, and I'll see you when we're back.
Several days later.
Here's where we're at right now. All this gets to get cleaned up once the fretwork actually gets cleaned up, but I'm waiting for some glue to dry, and that's almost like waiting for paint to dry. In the meantime, it's fixed. That is very shoddy work, but I'm keeping this guitar. I don't care. And all I wanted to do was make sure it was structural. It is ugly as sin. So anyway, I did refinish the neck. You can see right there where it used to say Squire. And if you guys have noticed that I'm continually calling it Squire, because that's how you fucking spell Squire. in the English language. Look it up. This is a trademark name, so who cares? Anyway, going on with it, and that's probably what I'm going to put back down there. Although I do have this vague notion that something else belongs there, and I'm just not sure exactly what. Catacaster Part 2? Nah. Anyway, so the neck itself is, it's done for the evening. Pickups are looking fine, I gotta say. I do like that very much. And so those are the Guitar Madness 62s. I have some aged white, one of those knobs and whatnot there. And this big giant Mamba Jamba switch I got somewhere at one point. I've got a few things. So, but at any rate, clay dots went in just fine. And I am pretty okay with the clay dot irregularities. When you shove clay into a kind of a case mold, you're going to wind up with some air gaps every once in a while. And I just think it adds to the character of it. But the initial plan on this guy was to scallop it. And so I think I'm probably going to a little bit. It's going to be, if anything, a light scallop. But the frets are in, and I still need to, trim the fret ends. Rapidly going here. So once that's done, I can scallop. Once the scallop's done, I can actually do the fret work. Make the nut. I have a nut blank here that I made out of a Les Paul nut blank. This is not the same one, but it's the same type. Here. And I made that little guy. Now, that's got a long way to go before it gets to the size that it needs to be, but I do prefer the look of it over the kind of sort of plastic white nut that we had down there before. And that's that. Some people may notice I did not go with stainless steel frets. Stainless steel not. No, but it is some of the last of my very large fret wire, the super jumbos. So I'm going to have to order some of that soon. Anyway, that's all for now. It's all matte finished, satiny, good feeling on the hand. Used tongue oil and another thing called True Oil from Birchwood Casey. And you know what? That's basically just tongue oil and linseed oil with, some mineral spirits. So, I don't know why they want to call it True. So there's another misspelling, TRU. That whole thing from, new metal, NU. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Spell it right. It's like the GIF thing. So yeah, GIF. Let's talk about GIFs or GIFs. So even the creator of the graphical image format said it is GIF. Now I think he was trying to ruffle some feathers. I don't believe in that at all. I really think that it doesn't have to. When a person names something and doesn't trademark it, by the way, he did this without trademarking it. But when he names something, the .gif, and expects people to call it a GIF, he's forgetting that. And like I said, I don't think he was serious about it, but he's forgetting that the most important part about the English language when it comes to acronyms is that you sound out the letters like they're sounded out in the words. So with graphical image format, it's GIF. Graphical image format, GIF. Sorry, it is. Just like general purpose vehicles, like Jeep, general, Jeep. If it was general image format, it would be a GIF, but it's not. It's graphical image format, so it's GIF. It's not my fault.